prior, averaging just 7 points. Lit it up in Greenville, 19 points per game, shot almost 60% from the field. Boston and South Carolina will be facing a Mercer team who has made an incredible turnaround. Susie Gardner has taken this team from 8 wins last season to 19-6 overall, and they won their conference tournament.
And kudos to Susie Gardner, who has brought a winning culture to Mercer, recognized last year, needed a personnel change, and here they are.
South Carolina will get the ball first in their white uniforms, taking on Mercer in those black unis. And there's a quick foul called as Zaya Cook gets the ball.
A lot of good movement, though, from South Carolina.
Yeah, it's called on Amoria Neal-Tyser.
One of the things going into the SEC tournament was ball movement, not allowing the ball to get stuck. And the other thing was playing through Aaliyah Boston.
There's Boston with the ball, and she kicks it out to Bree Beal. Mercer pushing. Jada Lewis sends it up to Shannon Titus, who misses the shot. Let's take a look at our Capital One starting lineup. South Carolina has stuck with this lineup pretty much all season. They've used Saxton and Boston both to start the game. Biggs down low. Jada Lewis trying to go coast to coast. And Carolina pushes it back the other way.
Well, that's where South Carolina normally is so good at running in transition. You know, we were talking to Susie Gardner, and she said she recognizes the talent. She recognizes the size that South Carolina has, and she said that we have to control things that we control, and one of those is we can box out. And the number one focus is not allowing South Carolina to get those second chance opportunities.
Victoria Saxton having to battle her way up and in. First points for South Carolina. Here's Mercer's starting 5. Jada Lewis, the point guard, number 13 in the black jersey, has made all the difference for Mercer.
And transferring in from Georgia State, brought a winning mentality, a leadership mentality. Susie Gardner talks about how Jada Lewis knows how to talk to her teammates and also how to listen to them. So they have an open communication. Criticism, it's a good thing if you know how to deliver it and how to receive it.
Now, Jada Lewis came to Mercer wanting to win a championship and wanting to make an appearance in the NCAA tournament. She has done that after they won the SoCon tournament championship. And it's going to be a double dribble on Aaliyah Boston. Dawn Staley told us she has been really pleased with the last 2 weeks of practice for this South Carolina team, who made a pretty nice run through the SEC tournament to that 6th tournament title.
Yeah, the great thing about Dawn Staley is her self-awareness and an understanding what her team needs. She compliments Felicia Allen and Johnny Allen, brought them in to do some team building before the SEC tournament, and then brought them back in after the SEC tournament to prepare them for the NCAA tournament. And this team has embraced what they have learned from some of the tough conversations that they've had.
Ball is thrown up in the air to Victoria Saxton. And you're right, Carolyn, South Carolina just looked like a different team. What was the biggest change you saw in them in Greenville?
Well, it looked more like team basketball and understanding a plan to play through Aaliyah Boston. It doesn't mean that the guards weren't going to get their shots, but you've got to allow Aaliyah Boston touches on the majority of your possessions.
Boston, she can hit the 3. They will let her take that shot. Aaliyah Boston was perfect from 3 at the SEC tournament. And on the break, Amoria Neal-Tyser, second team All-SoCon selection.
Well, when you're playing against South Carolina, your best offense is scoring before the defense gets back. So if Mercer can create transition baskets, that's good for them.
This is Bree Beal on the block for South Carolina. Up and in and fouled.
What's that called?
Oh, that would be some bully ball.
But you watch the backside, Victoria Saxon. Man, she's got a terrific vertical. Just able to throw over the top. But this is what I love about Bree Beal. Bully ball. She just uses her strength, her might down low to finish.
Bree Beal trying to complete the three-point play. They're going to sub out Aaliyah Boston and bring in Letitia Ami here. It's important to note, too, South Carolina's bench a little bit shorter as Lily Grissett not available to play in the NCAA tournament. She got hurt in that SEC tournament championship game. Their only senior, and that shortens their bench.
It does, because Lily Grissett not only can play the three, but also play the four. And at times, South Carolina was doing some small ball with Lily Grissett at the four.
Ami here triple teamed, and Shannon Doherty takes it away from her. Up ahead to Shannon Titus.
Mercer's making it difficult. What are they trying to do? Take away from South Carolina? Paint points. You watch, more times than not, there are going to be 4 black jerseys with a foot in the paint every time the ball moves around the court.
Ami here at the high post. Count the bucket as she steps through the double team. It was Shannon Tyson who ended up on the floor for Mercer.
Letitia Ami here just really, she was determined she was going to get to the basket, splits the defenders, and gets all the way to the rack.
Foul was called on Shannon Titus, her first. Three-point play.
Well, Dawn Staley told us how important Ami here was going to be, especially not having Lily Grissett. Ami here has a face-up game. She also has a tremendous amount of athleticism, but at times she's had trouble with turnovers. Can she take care of the ball?
They've really pushed how much upside Letitia Ami here has and how much they need her to make a deep run in this tournament. South Carolina on top of Mercer. Winner going to the second round. Indiana set a school record for points per game and undefeated, not just against ranked teams, but against top 10 teams. It looked like it could have been South Carolina's tournament, but they never got the chance.
And Aaliyah Boston wrote an article in the Players Tribune and talked about how she was coming into this year's tournament and really carrying the torch for Ty Harris and Kiki Herbert-Harrigan, because she says that their success that they had last year had so much to do with the leadership of those two seniors, and they weren't able to complete their season the way that they wanted to, making a run for a national championship because it was stopped. So she's playing for her former teammates that went on to the WNBA last season.
And Dawn Staley emphasized that point with us, Carolyn, that this team would not be where it's at this year without Ty and Kiki last year really leading this freshman class who are now sophomores playing in their first NCAA tournament.
Well, understand, Ty Harris won a national championship as a freshman. So she knew what it takes. She knew what it took. And then she had down years where it wasn't sharp, but then her senior year, it all came back together, but unfortunately was cut short. And then a little attitude that was brought by Kiki Herbert-Harrigan. You remember Mad Kiki? I love me some Mad Kiki that played with that attitude.
Oh, you can't forget Mad Kiki. The big bucket gets hit by Jaren Doherty. Bree Beal on the block. put back by Aaliyah Boston. They are great at second chance opportunities, average 17 second chance points a game.
And they're better offensive rebounding when they know when shots are coming from, and that has come through rhythm. But Mercer right now, they're right in this.
That was Shannon Titus with the bucket. Back-to-back buckets for the Bears. More second chance points as Aaliyah Boston puts her miss up and in. Well, the road to the Frozen Four ices up tonight at 7 Eastern with the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Selection Special on ESPNU and the ESPN app. Make sure you visit ncaa.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships.
You know, what Mercer is going to have to do is they've got to make sure that they box out, not allow second chance opportunities, but when South Carolina gets an offensive rebound, that's the 3rd and 1 that South Carolina has had in this first quarter.
Important to note, too, Jaren Doherty picked up her second foul on that play. She's one of their top scorers, averaging 16.2 points per game. Into the hands of Titus. She's got a little bit of help. Jada Lewis on her left flank takes the shot. Letitia Amihir, here she goes. Amihir, all the moves, and South Carolina thriving in the paint right now. Fourteen of their 16 points have come in the paint.
Well, if you've watched South Carolina all season, that's where they make a living. And Dawn Staley has always been a coach of playing from the inside out. Getting points in the paint, all 7 field goals made have come from in the paint. And part of the strategy for Mercer was not to allow the ball to come inside. It's easier said than done when you're trying to defend against South Carolina.
Yeah, they average 43 points in the paint per game. That's quite a chunk of their scoring. Jill Harris into run point for the Mercer Bears. She was their starting point guard last year. Remember, Jada Lewis transferred in and took that starting role this season. Stolen away by Letitia Amihir. LA for the bucket.
You know, she has really slowed the game down in her mind. You saw her gather her steps as she was going in for the layup. Time before, she may have been called for a travel. Not this time.
Sierra Vautal from the free throw line. Mercer trailing by 8. Destiny Littleton. Corner 3.
And see, Destiny Littleton is key. Again, another player along with Amihir to fill the void not having senior Lily Grissett, because she can stretch the defense and shoot the 3.
Grissett out for the tournament with a leg injury suffered in that SEC tournament championship game. That's back-to-back buckets for Sierra Vautal, the transfer from Eastern Florida State. Amihir is blocked. Kiana Barkoff got a hand on it. And then Aaliyah Boston finishes.
Did you see Susie Garner on the sideline, though? Frustration. But there's I can remember as a player and a coach telling me it was to get in front of Jennifer Gillen that played for Ole Miss. Look, that's a nightmare. It's not going to happen. That's just like Susie Garner telling her players to keep Aaliyah Boston off the glass. That's a full-time job.
Mercer's got to get a shot off here. They give it to Amoria. It is also time for the NCAA leadership to reevaluate the value they place on women. Lynn Holzman is the NCAA Vice President of Women's Basketball, and she spoke to our Holly Rowe on Saturday.
Women in sport and women's basketball and in many other aspects of our lives, we've been fighting uphill battles for years. this, in a lot of ways, this is no different in the sense that we have to be diligent and we have responsibilities as leaders to make sure that there are equitable and the opportunities for our student athletes so that they really have the best experience possible.
We saw those images show up on Thursday. On Friday, the NCAA did set up these new weight stations that they had ready to go, originally planned to be set up for the Sweet 16 and on. But this isn't just about the weight room, Carolyn.
No, the weight room is just a sign of the symptom. But there's a bigger problem or a bigger issue, and Lynn Holzman addressed that. And it's the responsibility of the leaders. It's also coaches to speak up. Women for far too long have just really taken what they've been given, but now in today's day and age, we're going to speak up. We're going to say, look, we deserve what is fair. Our student athletes, our women athletes deserve to have the same experiences, the great experience, especially when it comes to NCAA competition.
Yeah, props to the student athletes and the coaches for not being afraid to speak out on that, and props to the NCAA for acting to get that weight room in place. But as you said, it's more than about the weight room. It's way past that. So it's been really interesting start to see that unfold, but really thankful that these athletes who have worked extremely hard to get to this point can play on this stage.
And now for Dawn Staley, she's like, you know what? I made my statement. I'm turning my attention to help my team because they're in pursuit, trying to win a national championship. They've turned the concentration back on competition.
Yeah, speaking of Trailblazers, take a look at Dawn Staley's shirt. It says Trailblaze like Carolyn Peck. And, of course, Coach Peck was the first black woman to win a national championship when she did it with Purdue back in 1999. How cool to see Dawn Staley come out with your name on that shirt, Coach Peck.
Oh, it's an honor to be even in the same conversation with the list of names. There's George Raveling, John Chaney, Vivian Stringer. I mean, there's a whole list of great African-American successful black coaches.
South Carolina and Mercer battling for that spot in the second round. Winner of this game will move on to face either Oregon State or Florida State, who play later tonight. Mercer has never won an NCAA tournament game. Meanwhile, South Carolina has won 10 straight first-round games.
And I'll tell you, when Susie Garner gets the Mercer Bears to the NCAA tournament, it's no walk in the park for whoever they face. It has been single-digit losses that she has had. She has always come here and competed.
I think Shannon Titus was ready to come and compete, too. She now has 8 points to lead the Bears.
Well, Titus was recognized in the SoCon for her defense, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, but she's brought her offense today.
The dump off to Victoria Saxton. But going back to Shannon Titus, she's got the experience of playing in championship games. She was a member of that championship team in the SoCon as a freshman for Mercer. That team was the first 30-win season in Mercer program history. You mentioned the close losses, Carolyn. I mean, it has been a dogfight, or a bear fight, if you will, when Mercer is playing in the NCAA tournament. That first game ever back in 2018, Shannon Titus was a part of that. Mercer lost 68-63, and then to Iowa in their last appearance back in 2019, lost by 5 points.
I love the approach of Susie Garner. It doesn't matter who her team will be facing. They have a plan, and they come into this ballgame with confidence. They believe that they have an opportunity. Look, you can't put but 5 players on the floor to face them, and everybody has a chance once you tip the ball up.
That's going to go off of Amoria Neal Ticer's foot. Well, coverage of the women's NCAA tournament continues tonight at 9:30 p.m. Over on ESPN2, we'll have Washington State and South Florida. That's part of the Mercado region. Of course, NC State is the #1 seed in that region. They got a win over North Carolina A&T just a few minutes ago. They were the first #1 seed to play here in this year's tournament.
We're going to see all 4 #1 seeds play in the first day.
And we'll have UConn for you following this matchup between South Carolina and Mercer. Saxton corrals it, swings it out to Bree Beal. Into the hands of Jada Lewis. Titus is blocked by Bree Beal. Ooh!
Bree Beal just follows behind. Look, great body control too. Not to get the foul, all ball. Just get the ball out of bounds. Get your defense reset.
South Carolina is the top team in the nation when it comes to blocking shots. They average over 7 a game. Lewis looking for help. And one coming. It's Sierra Valtau.
South Carolina right now with a small lineup. Valtau comes in against Nia Russell. Post up and gets the finish.
Sierra had 5 points over their last 7 games. She's got 6 today. And Shannon Titus will be whistled for the foul as Victoria Saxton was going up. That'll be the 2nd foul on Titus.
Well, it looks like Mercer's in a triangle and 2. Titus was playing the top of that and really just roaming, staying around in the lane, keeping 3 people in the lane to try to keep passes from coming inside.
Some foul trouble to keep an eye on now for Mercer as Shannon Titus has to take a seat with those 2 fouls. Jaren Doherty also has 2 fouls. She's their 2nd leading scorer. Jada Lewis off the ball screen. Gives it up to Neil. Tyser loses it. Zaya Cook. Oh, and they whistled Cook for the foul.
Yeah, they caught her reaching in just in the last second, right after she got through the screen. She caught Neil Tyser on the wrist there, got called for the foul.
That's the first on Zaya Cook.
This is a new look, South Carolina going small. Victoria Saxton, the only post player, true post player on the floor. Nia Russell, the responsibility of defending in the post.
Second chance for Mercer. Jada Lewis at the top of the key.
And what do you give up if you're South Carolina? Rebounding, going with the small guards in the 4 perimeter positions.
Leah Boston has only played 9 minutes in this game. She does have 1 foul. And Saxton throws it away. 7 turnovers for South Carolina. Jill Harris will set things up for the Bears.
Again, rebounding. Allie Thane wasn't able to put it back.
Oh, and almost another turnover if Destiny Henderson wasn't able to save it. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Here's Cook. Look at Mercer's defense. Amoria Neal Tyser takes it and finishes.
It's of the smaller lineup that South Carolina has in, and these guards for Mercer have really turned up the intensity defensively. Already, South Carolina has 8 turnovers, and Dawn Staley is not happy about it.
Mercer has looked aggressive and scrappy, and they have 2 of their main scorers in foul trouble, by the way, on the bench, Shannon Titus and Jaren Doherty. Doherty actually back out on the floor, number 32 in that black jersey. She's got 2 fouls.
Well, Mercer in this triangle and 2.
Amoria Neal Tyser with the pull-up. A second-team All-SoCon selection. She's second in the conference in points per game.
Neal Tyser might be streaky, but she's on a hot streak right now. Has been since the SoCon tournament.
7 straight points for Mercer to tie this game. And Aaliyah Boston is fouled and will go to the line. Amoria Neal Tyser, the SoCon tournament MVP. She averaged almost 26 points per game in their run. Put up 34 points against Furman.
And when you've got a player that can put up numbers like that, the best thing that you can do against South Carolina, don't get down and run a play. Get the ball to her when she has the opportunity to shoot it, let it go.
3-point play for Boston. Substitutions, Jada Lewis checks back in for the Bears. Mercer trailed by 11 early on in this game. Gets the bounce. Hey, when it's your day, it's your day.
Neal Tyser is on one right now. The best way to defend her, you can't let her catch it, because once she does, she got the confidence. She can score on anybody right now.
Neal Tyser has scored Mercer's last 6 points. They give her the ball. Yeah, I would too. Doherty stopped by Ami here.
See now, triangle and 2, they're not guarding Leticia Mee here. You see nobody is guarding number 15 at the top.
Victoria Saxton from the elbow.
That's a shot that Saxton has been working on, and Dawn Staley has been encouraging her to take it. It's good to see Saxton taking it with confidence.
Saxton's in double figures. Neal Tyser gets some space on Ami here, but misses the shot. Well, coming up at the half, AT&T 5G in the studio. Georgia Tech in a tight contest, plus a look at Paige Becker's UConn coming up after we finish this game right here on ESPN.
Yeah, Nell Fortner's got a nail biter on her hands, but that was the 3rd foul for Jaren Doherty, so she's going to have to go out. That's one of the big 4 for Mercer.
And Doherty is their 2nd leading scorer. Shannon Titus also in foul trouble. Coming up, UConn and High Point. After we are done with South Carolina and Mercer, of course, you see Chris Staley. She will be acting as head coach, as Gino Auriemma not able to be here yet with the UConn Huskies due to COVID protocols.
I was listening to Renee Montgomery on a call, and she said she knows Chris Daly could finish Gino's sentences, so it won't be that big a difference not having Gino Auriemma on the sideline.
And you got Paige Beckers on the floor, so that bodes well for you too.
That and little Kristen Williams. Sure, you're all right.
Great ball movement for Carolina.
It takes a while against a triangle and two to figure out where you've got to move the ball to make the defense have to shift. But if you're patient, those openings will they will expose themselves.
And there's a turnover by Mercer. Up ahead to Destiny Littleton. And she's fouled.
We just see Zaya Cook reversing the ball to the other side, and Destiny Littleton recognized Victoria Saxton posting up even before she got the pass from Cook, and then right away knew to go inside.
"24 points in the paint tonight." Look, we told you South Carolina averages 42 points per game in the paint.
And you can come into a game with a game plan to take away paint points from South Carolina. But like I've said, that's easier said than done.
8 straight for the Gamecocks. Lewis with the quick pass, swatted away by Saxton. Aaliyah Boston, second chance.
Victoria Saxton at 6'5". Her reach, it's ridiculous to go along with her vertical. She's an eraser for South Carolina, blocking shots.
Jada Lewis will pull it back out. Shot clock still on for Mercer. The deep three, no problem.
Keep an eye on Zaya Cook. She likes this moment in the shot clock.
Aaliyah Boston for 3. You bet.
And she was an added punch for South Carolina.
Yeah, Leah Boston already has a double-double in this game. Victoria Saxton with 12 points. Mercer was led by Lewis Titus and Neil Ticer. They each had 8. Jaren Doherty got a little bit of foul trouble in that first half. She's back in the game with the ball right now, number 32 in black.
You know what Mercer's doing? What they're not doing is a lot of teams play South Carolina and they try to get too deep in the paint and try to shoot over shot blockers. What Mercer's doing is just pulling up in that sweet spot around the free throw line area, the three-point shot if it's there, but just beyond reach of the defense.
Man, Victoria Saxton has been on it today. She came into this game, South Carolina's last 4 games, averaging 3.5 points per game. She's up to 14 points.
And Courtney, you and I did the SEC tournament. Finishing through contact was something that Victoria Saxton didn't always do consistently in the paint. She has done a much better job tonight.
I think South Carolina as a whole has done a lot better finishing through contact. This is the 5th and 1 opportunity for the Gamecocks. There's going to be an illegal screen called on Mercer.
And Courtney, you pointed out Zaya Cook, 1 field goal attempt in that first half.
Looking for her first points, won't get it there. Victoria Saxton crashing the boards. Into the hands of Amoria Neal Ticer. She was so good, they throw it up to Shannon Titus. South Carolina ball. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship continues tonight with second-round games on CBS, TNT, TBS, True TV, or stream games on the March Madness Live app from anywhere. You can also check out ncaa.com. Bree Beal drives into the lane, hits the back of the iron. South Carolina has had so many second chance opportunities.
Yeah, it's just the bread and butter of South Carolina is the rebounding and creating extra possessions on the glass.
Neil Tyser in double figures, one of two players for Mercer.
See now, Mercer's in a box and one, and that one is on Zia Cook. She's got to recognize that.
Titus on the baseline bounces in and out. Cook has not scored yet today.
That's a good decision by Cook. When you're the one that's being defended by the box and one, then you want to make two people have to guard you. Then that's going to leave somebody undefended.
They wave off the bucket. Whistle called on Bree Beal. It's the second on Beal. A couple of substitutions for Mercer. Jill Harris checks in. They also bring in Kiana Barkoff. Titus kicks to Harris, waiting for the shot. Victoria Saxton.
I love how Victoria Saxton runs the floor in transition, and she really gets it. Post players, some run block to block. Not Saxton. She runs down the middle of the lane to get position.
11th time this season she's had double figures. She's at 17. Her season high is 20. That's her career high too. Zia Cook finally sees it go through.
I tell you, I hope everybody hydrated well before this game, because there have been a lot of trips up and down the floor.
Rattles in and down for Jada Lewis. Mercer has certainly made this game fun to watch. We knew that coming in. They made a heck of a run through the SoCon Conference Tournament. Just demolished Wofford in that championship game. Only gave up 38 points. Rebounding has been an area they have struggled in, though, when it comes to NCAA tournament games. They've been -11, -18 in their last two NCAA tournament games, and tonight, -17 on the boards against South Carolina, who's one of the best rebounding teams in the nation.
But in 2018, 2019, even though they were severely out-rebounded, they only lost by 5 points or less. So Mercer can manufacture some points, even though they may not be able to keep you off the glass or get those second chance opportunities.
Bucket in the lane for Jada Lewis. You know she wants this. She came to Mercer to win a championship and go to the NCAA tournament.
And what I love about Mercer is there is a belief there. They're not sitting there going, oh, this is a #1 seed, we've got no shot. Look, they're competing every possession.
Mercer has worked so hard to get to this point.
University of Georgia, and Jada Lewis talked about wanting to go somewhere where she could compete for a championship and an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. So she is seeing that all come to fruition now with her opportunity here with Mercer competing against South Carolina.
And there was a moment, Mercer, in their second to last regular season game, they lost to Samford on their home court, and that cost them the SoCon regular season title. Well, after that game, they had a meeting going into the SoCon tournament and really were open and honest with each other. And Susie Gardner told us she knew immediately after that meeting that they were going to make a run and they were going to win the SoCon tournament, and they did.
You know, it was interesting when she told us that story. She started it out by relating to, we know how South Carolina felt losing at Texas A&M and not winning the regular season championship. The same thing had happened for them. So, you know, she's keeping her team with the mindset of being comparable, not just saying, like, theirs is more important than ours. When you don't win your regular season competition, you want to get on the court and do something about it. And that's how her team, Susie Garner's team, is competing right now.
Cook dumps it to Aaliyah Boston.
Zia Cook is learning to really recognize, instead of forcing shots, taking an out-balance shot, find a good pass, an open player. Decision-making today for Zia Cook has been fantastic.
She'll pull it out there and get some help from South Carolina, some more players down the court. And Victoria Saxton is fouled. Well, South Carolina with a big lead. Aaliyah Boston has a double-double. She is one of those finalists for the Naismith Player of the Year. So is Paige Beckers. She is in our next game, UConn and High Point, after we're done here. Double of the season. Victoria Saxton 3 points away from tying her career high, and she is at the free throw line right now. South Carolina has 32 points in the paint.
We were talking about Aaliyah Boston and Victoria Saxton. These are the two captains for South Carolina that bring great leadership for this South Carolina team. And that's a junior and a sophomore, not seniors. We also had Lily Grissett, who's not able to play today. But these two right here have been great leaders for this South Carolina team.
You see Lily Grissett on the bench. Unfortunately, she is out for the tournament with a leg injury, the only senior for South Carolina, as you mentioned. And Carolyn, Victoria Saxton was a captain last season, too, as a sophomore, along with Ty Harris.
Well, and Dawn Staley said she's kind of like the mother on the team. She just takes care of everyone.
Well, all four NIT quarterfinals come to ESPN networks on Thursday, beginning with Mississippi State and Richmond at 6 Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Make sure you visit NCAA.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. South Carolina looking to advance to the second round. They would get Oregon State or Florida State. That game scheduled to tip at the bottom of the hour. Knocked out of bounds by Jada Lewis.
I may have to put on a pot of coffee. These games have been good and fun to watch today. Going to be up for a while.
And we've got UConn coming up right after this game is done here on ESPN. Stanford is also going to play later tonight. That's when you need your coffee for the 10 p.m. tip.
Oh, that's just when I get started, 10 p.m., Courtney.
Oh, yeah. Ami here with the rebound. In traffic, finishes.
What I have seen from South Carolina today is they have shown the versatility that they have. They can go small, where they have 4 guards and 1 post. Right now, they've got 3 bigs in the game, and they have not missed a beat.
Oh, offensive foul called on Victoria Saxton of South Carolina. You know, about the week before the SEC tournament, maybe 2 weeks before, Dawn Staley started using the word deliberate with her team, asking them to be deliberate in making decisions, in getting the ball inside, in everything that they've done. And that has put a change in them. If you ask them what's changed, they're going to use that word, I guarantee you.
Well, you know what? That is a good word to use, because what she is telling her team is, we're not going to operate in a gray area. As Titus knocks down that jumper, but be deliberate in. When you make a decision to attack the basket, don't second guess it. when you make a decision how to defend someone, get in it and defend it. So just no black and white. Make it all black and white, no gray areas.
Zia Cook with the floater on the baseline, back up to a 20-point lead for Carolina. And it's tipped away, last touch by the Gamecocks.
You know what I like today too is Zia Cook only had one field goal attempt in the first half, but she has played defense every second that she's been on the floor. She has not allowed her offense to affect her defense. She is competing. She has made great decisions. That's a good sign for South Carolina.
Yeah, there was a time this season when they went away from Boston and Zia Cook was taking, over 20 shots a game. She's an elite scorer, no question about it, but you've got a player inside like Aaliyah Boston that can make things happen, whether she takes the shot or passes out. She doesn't have to take the shot every time.
Well, I think that these players, they all want to get it done, but understanding one doesn't have to do it by themselves. I want to look at that one again because I don't know if the defender was outside of the restricted area.
That's Allie Thane.
I don't know that she was set either. She got her heels up, but was she there before Destiny Henderson was in the air? I don't know.
Either way, Henderson will be charged with the foul as Allie Thane takes the charge. Turnover, Mercer. Kiana Barkhoff back in the game for the Bears, replacing Allie Thane. Under a minute to go in the quarter.
See Mercer still in that triangle and two.
Two shots, players. Two shots, players.
This puts Zia Cook at the free throw line.
Let's go.
Third foul was called on Jayla Lewis of Mercer. South Carolina, one of the best in the nation at getting to the free throw line. They're fifth in Division I in free throw attempts. Sierra Votow back in the game for Mercer. And South Carolina is going to send in Alyssa Weselick.
South Carolina substitution number 32, Eliza Weselick, checking in the game.
South Carolina in a zone. Keep an eye on that one right there. Maria Neal Kaiser. You can't leave her open. She's the shooter on the Mercer Bear basketball team.
Averages 17 points a game. She's got 13, and she's on the move again, but blocked by Saxton. Woo!
Victoria Saxton. Her timing is impeccable of blocking shots and the body control that she has not to be called for a foul. That's impressive.
Doherty, clutch shot from the corner. Gamecocks can hold for the final shot here in the third quarter. Zia Cook trying to create that Mercer defense swarming. And Letitia Mihir stepped out of bounds, 0.7 on the clock.
Out of bounds to Mercer.
South Carolina just 10 minutes away from a spot in the second round. Dawn Staley and crew trying to start their run in the...
So happy that we have an NCAA tournament. I so missed it last year.
I think we all did. South Carolina, the top seed in the Hemisphere region. Maryland is the 2 seed in this region. Winner of this game moves on to face either Oregon State or Florida State. That game just about to tip off.
Leticia Ami here has been impressive today. She has finished. She's been aggressive. She's played on balance. That's what South Carolina needs, especially not having Lily Grissett in the rotation.
Well, Ami here and Victoria Saxon have looked like different players today. I mean, there's just a confidence and a poise about them.
I would agree with that 100%. It's a determination. It's like their accountability has gone up another level. And I don't know if it's because you don't have the comfort of having a Lily Grissett to come in, but their accountability at their position has been spot on.
Dawn Staley told us she has been so pleased at the 2 weeks of practice leading up to the NCAA tournament right after that SEC tournament championship win. We mentioned the sessions that they've done with Felicia and Johnny Allen. They're team building, they're tough conversations. It's a chance for the players to open up, maybe not with the coaches present. And they did one of those before the SEC tournament, and then it made a big difference. They wanted to do a follow-up afterwards, and Aaliyah Boston actually texted Dawn and said that was exactly what we needed after the session with Felicia and Johnny.
Well, Felicia and Johnny were the ones that called for having another team meeting after the SEC tournament to kind of wrap things up as far as, I believe it was one of those, see, it works. The things that we talked about, it all came back together. So that the players, sometimes you assume they get it, but you just want to address it and compliment them on applying what they learned and bringing it and putting it into action.
South Carolina, numerous chances on this possession. It will be a help ball, possession arrow pointing to the Gamecocks. Well, it also shows, too, how those conversations off the court can have an impact on the court and in your play. And props to South Carolina for having those and then implementing it.
Well, a lot of times, some coaches think if we're having to have team meetings about chemistry or any kind of thing late in the season, there's a problem. But there also has to be honest conversations. Wow. A great finish by Aaliyah Boston, but to be able to have that trust, even late in the season, that these are not going to be repeating, but definitely moving forward.
How about Aaliyah Boston? The toughness in the first round, adding to that double-double. Twelve teams getting set to go. We'll see Oregon tomorrow. Oregon is the 6th seed. They're going to take on South Dakota. But coming up later tonight, Stanford and Utah Valley at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Of course, we've got another 1 seed at 8 Eastern here on ESPN. That will be UConn. South Carolina trying to be the second 1 seed to move on to the second round. NC State is already there. South Carolina is a great rebounding team. Offensively, 18 offensive rebounds. Mercer has 18 total rebounds.
That is going to be the biggest advantage that South Carolina has going through this bracket, is the way they rebound the basketball, and specifically on the offensive side. They know where their spots are. They don't give up on a play, and especially the way Leticia Ami here and Victoria Saxon are going to the glass along with Aaliyah Boston. That's intimidating.
And Boston has 9 offensive rebounds. She has half of those offensive rebounds for South Carolina. Surprised that's not a foul. Mihir was laying on Kiana Barkhoff.
Well, she had her arms around her, I thought.
Mercer had a run in the second quarter. They tied the game up at 27, but South Carolina ended the half on a 16-5 run, and the Gamecocks have not looked back.
Starting early on, Mercer, they had brought some defensive intensity of their own. It took a while for South Carolina to really settle in and adjust to the junk defenses, the triangle and two, the box and one. Right now, the triangle and two is on Destiny Henderson and Zaya Cook. You see Destiny Littleton on the other side is the one that's wide open. But you got to hit the shooter right in the pocket. I feel you, Don. She was wide open, no reason. That was an unforced turnover.
Well, we knew coming in this game, Susie Gardner, the head coach of Mercer, was coming in with a plan. This is her third NCAA tournament appearance with the Mercer Bears. Of course, she was an assistant at Florida, the head coach at Arkansas, and Austin Peay before coming to Mercer.
Mercer foul number 2, Sydney Boykin, her first.
Foul's called on Sydney Boykin. South Carolina has 3 players in double figures: Boston, Saxton, and Mihir. Zaya Cook with 8 points. Destiny Henderson has not scored today.
That's the thing about South Carolina. They can win in so many different ways. So Destiny Henderson doesn't have to score a lot of points when you're getting it from your bigs, when you're getting it from Victoria Saxton, Aaliyah Boston, and Letitia Mihir. And then when teams try to take that away, that's when your guards can step up. So it's almost like playing cards. Well, you got this trump. You can play this trump. You can find different ways to win.
Zaya Cook up through contact. South Carolina has done a much better job of finishing layups. That's been a tough spot for them all season.
Well, I wonder if it's just, you know, when they came to San Antonio, Dawn Staley wanted to make sure that there were enough basketballs they traveled with so that each player had a basketball in their room. Zaya Cook said she even texted CJ and said, "Can I get a gym?" Because that's what she's used to doing. CJ's like, "No, you're in quarantine. You have to stay in your room." So Zaya said she spent a majority of her time there just throwing the ball around herself and spinning it, ball handling. And she was asked, did that help her stay focused on basketball? And she said most definitely. And another thing that has helped her stay focused, she said her dad has been sending her clips of different players to watch, just keeping her mind on basketball.
Now, South Carolina 20 for 29 on layups. That is much improved. At one point in the SEC tournament, they were just 50% from the field on layups.
Oh, at times they were below 50%. And Dawn Staley said that was a concern. So I can guarantee you in these 2 weeks that they prepared from the SEC tournament until now, there were some layup practices.
The old layup line.
Well, a lot of that is just focus and concentration and making sure you're focused on the right thing. Not looking pretty on where the takeoff, but the finish at the top of where you're going to put the basketball.
And Shannon Titus, who hit the floor pretty hard. They called a foul on Saxton. Second foul on Victoria Saxton. Amoria Neal-Ticer continues to put the ball through the hoop.
She doesn't need much space or time to get her shot off.
The SoCon tournament MVP, averaged 26 points in that game. Bree Beal. Allie Thane with the offensive rebound, and Mercer will get another chance. Neil Ticer. And a foul is called. South Carolina on top. We will take you to that game as soon as we are done with this one. We'll see Dana Evans in Louisville tomorrow night. But Aaliyah Boston has looked like a candidate for Player of the Year tonight.
When you look at that list right there and you say, okay, I need to, they were all available in the draft. Who would you take? Oh, yeah, that's what a lot of the voters are having to say as they're making their decisions down the stretch. Who would you take? And I think the toughest one to prepare for, to be an opponent of, would be Aaliyah Boston. That takes a special game plan for an Aaliyah Boston, a player with the versatility of the things that she can do both inside and out.
Zia Cook takes it to the basket, and she is such a smart player. Just a sophomore, but her basketball IQ is off the charts. Off the hands of Barkhoff, it'll go to South Carolina.
Courtney, you were talking about her basketball IQ, also her leadership. You'll watch her a lot on the court, and she's almost the point guard as far as directing traffic or telling the team to calm down, calling out plays of what Dawn Staley wants to run and settling everybody in.
Well, she wrote that article you'd mentioned before in the Players Tribune, and she specifically mentioned the UConn game and how she had a chance at the end of regulation to get a putback and put a layup in and win the game for South Carolina, and she wasn't able to finish, and that's something that stuck with her. And we asked Dawn Staley about that. She said, I told her right after that, you got to finish that, because she's a great player. She is so hard on herself because she loves to win and hates to lose.
Well, and Dawn said the first thing you've got to do is you have to acknowledge it. You can't go away. You can't sugarcoat it. It happened. It's the reality of what was. Had she finished the putback, there would have been no overtime, and South Carolina would have won that game. Now, what does Aaliyah Boston have to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? And Aaliyah Boston, in that Player Tribune article, said, I just needed to slow down. I rushed it. So she recognized the mistake that she made.
South Carolina's been looking for that leader on this team, that player who is like a Kiki Herbert-Harrigan, who brings that toughness and that attitude. And asking Dawn about that, she said, look, we don't have anybody that has that attitude on the court, but Aaliyah Boston, she slices you different ways. She slices you with her defense on a ball screen, with her knowledge of the game. It's different than the attitude and the toughness that Kiki Herbert-Harrigan brought to the court, but she'll still beat you, and you'll know that she's on the floor.
Well, you get the same effect. You just go about it in different ways. You know, Kiki brought a toughness and that swag with her. And what Aaliyah Boston does is she's going to outsmart you. She's going to find ways to beat you, to use her talents and that advantage.
Oh. Shot gets stuck.
Wedgie.
Of all the things I thought you were going to say in the game tonight, wedgie was not one of them.
You know I'm always full of surprises, Courtney Lyle.
You are. South Carolina has been able to adjust to Mercer's defense. We saw in that second quarter, Mercer really caused them pause when they went to the triangle and two. It took them a little while to figure it out. South Carolina was showing that smaller lineup with Aaliyah Boston on the bench, but then after it was tied up at 27, South Carolina went on a big run. They have not looked back, led by as many as 28 points.
Well, it's an area of growth that I have seen from South Carolina. You remember the first game that we did of South Carolina against NC State, and Westmore really packed the paint, mixed up defenses, and really made it very difficult for South Carolina to get paint points. And South Carolina froze a little bit, didn't know really how to adjust. Throughout this season, they have seen all kinds of defenses now. At this point in the season and going against the junk defenses of Mercer, now the maturity has shown up of South Carolina of being able to adjust to the different kind of defenses that they see without a panic.
Jada Lewis will corral it for Mercer. What a difference she has made for their program this year with her leadership, with her talents on the floor. She has helped this Mercer team get back to its winning ways and get back to the NCAA tournament after just 8 wins last season.
And with Jada Lewis, it's not just her basketball talent, but her leadership that has really helped Susie Garner to bring back that culture that she had established at Mercer. And Susie Garner helped Jada Lewis fulfill a dream, and that was to get to come here and experience the NCAA tournament, or the NCAA tournament.
Shot clock still on, but South Carolina now just 30 seconds away from a spot in the second round. And Destiny Littleton gets fouled.
You know, South Carolina is fortunate, Destiny Littleton, after missing last season with chronic ankle problems, to have her healthy. Again, you know, it's Littleton, it's Amihir, Saxon that have had to really step up when you're not going to have senior Lily Grissett to play along the way as you make your run in the NCAA tournament.
Mercer ball with 24 seconds remaining.
And then to Mercer.
Jada Lewis will take the last shot for Mercer. And South Carolina will move on. Its 11th straight first round win, the 500th career win for Dawn Staley.
It was a terrific showing of South Carolina. The